We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
Even against enemy aircraft, especially when flying low, rifles and light automatics are deadly if fire is properly controlled. But with anti-aircraft fire, as with all fire, we must know when to fire if we're to shoot to kill.
After completing my World War II Jeep-inspired Thomas, I figured I would make a heavy type of locomotive to fit in with my growing fleet. And to do this, I ended up using my Bachmann Gordon just because, well, who else would be the Sodor heavy type? You mean to tell me Henry's gonna let them put a turret on him and go burn down his forest? I don't think. Gordon is named the Royal Scot after the headboard that I placed in front of his funnel. Though the original Royal Scot is a Class 6100 and Gordon is an A1 Pacific, in the little world that I've created for the engines, I imagine that Gordon wears it in memory of that engine. Perhaps he lost a friend to the war and thus he wears it, but don't game theory me on it yet. I just thought it was a nice touch. I know a lot of people say that the blue that the engines are isn't necessarily wartime accurate, and you're completely and totally right. Driving a blue engine in wartime would probably suck. But I still want to capture the overall character and look of the characters, and that's what I was trying to do with Gordon, so I figured I would just still stick with the blue. Accuracy is kind of low-key been out of the window. Now, again, I imagine Gordon as the Sodor heavy type, or more like an armored train. Just like Thomas, I used a Dremel tool on either side of Gordon to apply the bullet holes, and then used weathering powder and paint to make them look realistic. At some point, I may actually add armor castings, but at this point, I just didn't find it too necessary. Since Gordon is a high standard and quick to impress engine, I wanted to keep the weathering more minimal on him and not as heavy as it was on Thomas, but I went heavier with the coal dust around his tinder just to make him look a little bit more used. Gordon's tinder is also fitted with a tail lamp, just as the front of him is fitted with a headlamp because Bachmann just couldn't be bothered. And after applying some coal dust on his face and a coat of matte clear, the main aesthetics were done. For the most part. Being Sodor's heavy and soon-to-be armored train, I figured Gordon deserved something a little heavier than a 50 caliber. Though there is totally one on there. Using a spare Flames of War Sherman turret, I fitted Gordon with a rotary cannon on his top half and painted it blue and weathered it to match him. At the moment I have it glued to sit stationarily, but I do plan to change that in the future given the giant hole in his top. I cut down and placed the top half of an HO scale figure in the turret, and of course gave him a proper crew to run and operate with. Though there's more I plan to do with Gordon down the road, for example fit him with wagons on either side and fit the proper armored train makeup, overall I still love how he turned out. Personally I haven't really seen a lot done with Bachmann Gordon, especially in the World War II aspect, so just like it was for Thomas, it was incredibly fun overall fitting Gordon into the whole aesthetic and growing armada that is my World War II Thomas fleet. And of course it's just not going to end here with Gordon and Thomas. I have several other plans that are on the workbench and in progress that should be done soon, so make sure you're on the lookout for those. As previously stated, Sodor will be armed to the teeth, so for now hopefully you guys enjoyed my World War II inspired Gordon model. You know, while overall I do love the blue aesthetic that we have going on with these models, next time I think we should go a little bit more green.